It's an acronym, JOLT. That stands for Jordan's Optimum Leap Training. So, I'm using this to like kind of prepare myself for the life I've been asking God for this whole time.
Sir.
And so it's like a discipline thing. The other reason why I call myself Joda is people are usually surprised once they see like me do what it is I do, because I don't know if it's the glasses or anything, but I guess I got Clark Kent syndrome. so when people first see me, it's like, all right, he cool, and then when I get the microphone, like, dang,
okay,
he do that,
yeah.
And then people are more surprised and like, oh yeah, I produced this as well. And then there's like, oh, who engineered it? I did.
Tap in with me.
This is the Mic Drop with B. Anderson, and we are back again, Season 2, Episode 10, with my man, The Jolt. How you feeling today, man?
I'm doing well. I'm blessed. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you on.
Glad to be here.
First, we got so much to unpack today, but where we gonna start off is, how did you get the name The Jolt?
So, it's an acronym, JOLT. That stands for Jordan's Optimum Leap Training. So, I'm using this to like kind of prepare myself for the life I've been asking God for this whole time.
Sir.
And so it's like a discipline thing. The other reason why I call myself Joda is people are usually surprised once they see like me do what it is I do, because I don't know if it's the glasses or anything, but I guess I got Clark Kent syndrome. so when people first see me, it's like, all right, he cool, and then when I get the microphone, like, dang,
okay,
he do that,
yeah. And
then people are more surprised and like, oh yeah, I produced this as well. And then there's like, oh, who engineered it? I did. And then like, I've gotten a few. That was also the response that my parents had when they found out that I wanted to be a rapper and wanted to be a music producer. Now, my dad wasn't all that surprised because he's a musician himself. My mom was a little shocked. So it's the reaction, it's the acronym, and so that's why I call myself Jolt.
Okay. Do you think that there's like a certain stereotype to what a rapper is supposed to look like?
Yeah, I can say that there is. Like when like most of the time, half the time, like a rapper is associated with like struggle, because at least that's what like a lot of rappers talk about in the music.
Yeah. And
then the other half is a highly successful individual. The stereotypical. He got the gold teeth, and he got the jewelry, and he got a woman on each arm, and the cars, the clothes, the houses, that all like associates with wealth, but like some intellect.
Yes,
some
sir.
intellect is like more needed, because that's like what's really gonna help us like as a people. And so if they can see somebody who looks like them but communicates a little differently, that that conveys to the mass public like, oh, okay, well maybe rap music and rappers, or people who associate with that genre, maybe they're okay. And maybe if we see them walking down the street, we don't have to grab our purse or anything like that, or we don't have to put our kids behind us so that way they don't see it. It's okay. So, at least that's what I am there.
Okay. Well, we definitely gonna, dive into a lot of that as the interview progresses. But where I want to start is, your dad was a musician, your mom was an author. So I can understand how you would take on a love for writing, for music, for things like that. But how did it all get started for you?
So it starts in like high school. So like I went to like a few different schools like when I was growing up. I first started off at this private school. It's called the Calvary Academy, and it's in Springdale. Uniform, and like you're reading scripture, and that was good. Like it was good in developing like my personality, like my beliefs, my outlook on life, And then like once I got into high school, a little bit older, like 10th grade, 11th grade, that was when I went to a public school. So I graduated from Lakota East.
Okay.
And yeah, man, this is around that time, this is 2012. 2011, 2012, 2013. Those are very pivotal years. So, like, that's one of the albums that, like, grabbed me, like, immediately. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay.
By Kanye West.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter that is Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. So, like, I'm listening to this stuff and I'm hearing it, and then the pens start moving a little bit. And then I'll never forget, the exact moment where I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. And people look at me like I'm crazy for saying this. In conjunction with Backseat Freestyle by Kendrick Lamar, it's the music video for Started From the Bottom by Drake. Something about that music video, and I'm in senior year, right? Something about that is like, I can do this. I can definitely do this. So, it just started off as like, a bit of a hobby, because, I got along with people in school, but I always felt like a bit of a social outcast, a little bit, especially around the women. So once I started writing, I got a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, that dude who played football, he played basketball, he may get all the women, but he could never do what it is that I'm doing like this. He not on his best day. And the more I got older, the more I developed a bit of a reputation for it. So my mom really did not start liking rap music until she actually heard me start to do it.
Okay.
You gotta understand, like, with my dad being a musician, I heard everything. Like, his go-to is Fred Hammond.
Okay.
That is his favorite gospel artist of all time. But on the flip side of that same coin, I could also hear Mint Condition.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, we'd hear Jill Scott.
Yeah.
Same time, Mary.
Yeah.
Like with my mom, we'll hear, I would hear all the Mariah Carey, like all the Chrisette Michele, all of the R&B singer Joe. I would hear everything. So it's like I got a little bit of a lot of a diverse music taste.
Okay. So I understand that's how you got your start with rap. With actually making music and things like that. But you was actually into it before that, as far as playing the drums at church and your mom buying you a keyboard. So what did that do for you? Like, is that what inspired you to become kind of like a music producer?
Yeah. Like I wanted to, I wanted to imitate my dad, because I would see him with the sticks, and a couple times he would have me playing percussion, like while he was there,
Yeah.
Like that happened many a time. And then when I was at school, I learned how to play the drums. My teacher, his name was Mr. Cobb.
Okay.
So he taught me how to play the drums, while I was there. I haven't played the drums in years.
Okay.
But I've always enjoyed the keyboard. I feel like if you can like play anything from scratch, the drums looks more fun, it does. But I always was enamored with piano. And like in my music, for a little while, people could kind of tell. I could tell Joe produced this track because you're using Steinway's keys. And so it would kind of give me away a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, like I was into it then, just because of the, my mom, she got me, it was a Christmas, it was 2007. Like I remember this because if you can't tell, I'm a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But it was the year SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 came out, right? So it was for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
She got me the PlayStation 3, and she got me a Yamaha keyboard for Christmas.
Okay.
The same day.
Okay.
Like, most lit Christmas of all time. I don't care what nobody said.
Yeah.
Like, my mom laced me up. Like, she spoiled me. Right? So
hold on, real quick. That reminds me. See, and I'm a little bit older than you. That reminds me of the Christmas when I got the PlayStation 2 and the SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. That remind me of that. I got both of those on the same Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And man, so hey, it ain't nothing like getting that WWE with the PlayStation.
So it's like, you know, like I have that game too. Like that's on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
SmackDown Here Comes the Pain is the best game from that entire lineup.
Brock Lesnar with Brock on the front.
He was OP. But, you know, like I would play that, but I would keep looking at the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's intimidating a little bit because I'm still learning. I still practice.
Yeah.
But, you know, after a while, you know, like as I got older, PlayStation just wasn't the thing for me anymore. You know, and I love, like, I'll still play today, but it's like, I got to make music.
Yeah.
And so, like, as I got older, you know, my mom's biggest complaint became, can you turn that music down? Don't you have homework you should be doing right now?
Yeah.
And it's like I had to get my music in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to that brought back some memories for me as well, man. Yes, sir.
It is.
So I know you talk about how Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West were huge inspirations for you.
Yeah.
What other artists, like it could be singers or rappers, influence what you do today or influenced your beginning?
Right. So like those are like the first two rappers that I had heard, and I kind of got like bit by the bug a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite rapper of all time is none other than Nas.
Okay.
When I heard there are a few albums that when I heard them for the first time, I kind of wanted to quit a little bit. And you know, this is like modern, like we're in the modern time where it's like this is Nothing Was the Same era. This is you know, Eminem had come out with Marshall Mathers LP 2, so he's doing tracks with Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? This is during that time. Yeah. So when I heard Illmatic for the first time, and you know, I'm hearing this guy on NY State of Mind have the nerve and the audacity to say, yo, I don't know how to start this, man. Rappers are monkey flipping with the funky rhythm. I'm like, whoa. Who? Like, we need to listen to more of this. So
I mean, right out the gate, man. I mean, number 2 track on the, just came right in, man.
Yeah. So, like, pretty much that became, like, when I wanted to get good, I was listening to Nas. So he's an influence for me. I gotta mention Jay, because Jay-Z is able to communicate the same, you know, things and the same ideas as Nas, but he knows how to do so while saying less, which is very difficult for me, like as a writer, because I don't want to leave out any details. But he's so matter of fact and he's so blunt about it that it's brilliant, because you can say one thing, but it could literally mean 3 to 4 different things. So he's like one of the very best at triple entendres.
Yes, sir.
Then another artist that I look at a great deal, and this, I think this is what kind of sealed the deal in Cleo Court not being friends, Prince.
Okay. Yeah.
But my reasons for a bit of a different reason. So like, you know, like the aesthetic that he has, you know, I can see how that, you know, that would influence, you know, Miss Cleo Court. But for me, what was the most impressive about an album like Purple Rain is he's playing every instrument. And this goes back to me like really being in love with like the piano a lot, because it's like a person who can translate for every instrument at the same time writing the song, and then while performing the song he still has his guitar in his hand. That's masterful. So
take a special concentration to be able to do all of that.
And then, you know, other maybe not so obvious ones, but obvious for me, Royce the 5'9".
Man, from a lyrical, standpoint, this guy is top notch, man, and don't get the credit that he deserves. But when you get an Eminem cosign,
the first time I heard Royce was when I heard the Bad Meets Evil song on the Slim Shady LP.
Yeah.
And then the album Bad Meets Evil held the sequel.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Going bar for bar with him like that.
and see, when the song first come on, the Bad Meets Evil song, and you hear this guy, and he, you know, sound like he's supposed to be from some country western or something like that, and he's talking about the outlaw and what ended up happening. And then you hear, you know, M come in, and then you hear and just the chemistry between the two of them, how they flowed back and forth, man, was crazy for me. So,
and then, you know, I said Kendrick and Cole, like Kendrick and Kanye, but like J. Cole as well.
Yeah.
Because J. Cole does exactly what it is that I aim to do.
Yeah.
That man could literally have he's got Hall of Fame already just off of 2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Yeah.
That dropped when I was in college.
Yeah.
Right. And there was this girl who I was interested in. I won't say her name. Because I think she's married now. But, you know, like, that was her favorite guy.
Yeah.
And so when I was writing all this stuff, you know, I would get these J. Cole comparisons as well. And it made me, you know, it's like, you know, don't do that, because it's my dream here. You know? So, you know, you can't get mad at another fan, especially, you know, if they're female. You can't get mad at them for expressing their feelings and how they feel about a guy. So
yeah. And that's what's up, man. You know, the whole interview could really be just about hip hop, man. Because when I listen to just the creatives, the rappers that inspired you, man, it just bring back so many memories, because hip hop was really a part of all of our upbringing. Like, you know, poetry, spoken word, rap, all of that falls under the tree of hip hop. So it's like, man, like I get so excited, man, just talking about it. So
absolutely.
Talk about that championship belt on your right shoulder and the significance of it.
So this is actually promoting my album, Championship Level. I'll be holding this on the album cover, you know, and I know, like, holding this, you know, like, walking everywhere with this, you know, like, this gets a lot of looks, because it's like, who does this dude think he is? He came in here with this...
Got the big gold.
With this belt. And, you know, like, for me, this isn't, you know, like, the first thought is, oh, he's saying he's the greatest rapper of all time. I sure do rap to be just that. I do. But with this particular, you know, piece of gold here, it symbolizes, you know, for me, you know, there's a saying, how a man does one thing is how he does everything. So if you do music at a championship level, you want to do life at a championship level. Like whether you with your family, you know, whether you're, you know, in your marriage, you know, your children's life, whether you at work, you know, when you're doing school work, because I'm going back to school to get a bachelor's in information technology pretty soon. You know, everything has to be done at the maximum. Yeah. So, you know, we perform on the championship level. You know what I mean? So, not just in music, but in life in general. So, that's why I wear this. It's a reminder for it. And then also, you know, I want to give people the same feel of like when they saw, you know, like The Undertaker, you know, when he was champion, or like in the ring, you know. The same thing as like Ric Flair. Yeah, you know.
That's who come to mind, Ric Flair.
Yeah, so. Like nobody held it more than him.
Yeah.
But to be considered, you know, like the best at what they do, you know, that's what I want, you know, not just in my city, but like in the history of the genre. I want to be one of the greatest of all time. And so, you know, you gotta act like you are before you are. So, you know, because people, you know, they follow along with it anyway. So, you know, shout out to Monty C. You know, Monty C. Benjamin, you know, he'll hit me up a few times, you know, during the course of the week. You know, we go on the phone. First thing he said, "What's the word, Chet? What we doing?" And, you know, like, that's the homie right there. That's big bro. Yeah. But, you know, it's like when you start walking like it, people will start addressing you as that. So it's like, that's just one thing that I've noticed about, you know, just how you interact and how you carry yourself.
So, Cincinnati has really become key for the rap scene. Like, and I feel like the rap scene has really grown over the years. And you talk about, you know, your aspirations of being a GOAT and not being there yet. Talk about just the competitive nature of the rap scene in Cincinnati, also accompanied with the respect level that you all have for one another.
You know, like, iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. You know, it is competitive. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's competitive because people aspire to be at that level, and when they see another artist, you know, per se, you know, on top of their game, it makes them want to do that. You know, one of my best friends, you know, in the scene, we've been friends since we were working at Best Buy. His name's Jay Hill. You know, Jay Hill, seeing Jay Hill work, it makes me want to get on my, you know, like on my grind, you know, like, you know, when we would be working, you know, he would show me new ideas all the time. And this was like before he was part of, you know, Patterns of Chaos. You know, he was always showing me new things. So I'm like, this man has a new verse recorded every single time I hear him. So I need to have at least a few pages of rhymes every day. Simply because it's like, you know, if you allow yourself to get complacent, you know, you can kind of fall behind, you know, in this particular scene. So then, you know, like I'm around a lot of talented individuals on a regular basis. Funny story, you know, rappers, you know, back when Siri Monty and the Monty Productions was doing, you know, these events at Club Alice, we had the rec room there, right? So this is an example of how, you know, competitive rappers can be sometimes. And so, you know, we're on Facebook one day, and I see a couple mentions of my name, right? And, you know, it's none other than Brent Setter. And shout out to Brent Setter, but because we had met before, you know, like before all this, but pretty much he's like, I want to battle this dude because I don't like his name. I'm going to battle this dude because I want his dreads. And I'm going to battle Jolt because I don't even know. I just want to battle him. And somebody said, you're going to be salty when that dude come in here and eat you up. He's like, it's like that dude tuck his knees into his shirt every time he see me. What you mean, bruh? Y'all in there teaching people how to do the Dougie. And so I'm like, I'm gonna make sure that when I see this guy, I'm ready to rap whenever anything happens. And so, you know, we did our thing. You know, like we rap. You know, in the building. You know, shout out to you, man. You got that one that time. I ain't gonna front. But on camera though, people like, did you hear what he said to that man? So like, I feel ever since that particular moment, you know, obviously he and I, we've been really cool ever since. But at the same time, everybody's kind of looked at me like, Jolt's here? We already know what he about to do. You know, because I rap relentlessly. You know, like when I go for it, I really go in. So it's just, but not just from the rapper standpoint, is it competitive? Like seeing like a lot of singers as well. You know, like obviously there's my collaborative effort with Tiana, like with Tiana Dean, with Cleo Court. You know, I've even got a record with Tori Helene coming up on my project, and Auntie JoJo, which, you know, I see all of these very talented women, you know, they're singing and they sound like they've been doing it for 25 years each. You know what I'm saying? So just seeing another artist, you know, on top of their game, that makes me like want to get in that creative space. Because I can't go a day without working on music. A couple of my friends be like, don't you think you should kind of relax? And I always say, I'm like, while I'm sleeping or I'm sleeping in or I'm taking the day off, so-and-so over there, they just made another hit. So, but yeah, like, nah, like the rappers I hang around, you know, like I hang around, like I've recently started recording some records with Banks. That man, I play a few beats for him and he just start going.
I seen that post. I seen you post about this the other day.
Yeah.
You know, so
like off the top of the dome, he just start going. So it's like there's really no excuse. Like I gotta, I have to work a little bit harder for mine, but always gotta push the goalpost forward. You know what I'm saying? Just to stay sharp.
And I've had a couple. Like I had Banks. I had Brent's up here during season 2, and one thing I could say, even outside of just their impeccable rapping abilities, is just the fact that they just great men.
Yeah.
Great examples of what a kid who may be watching can look up to.
Yeah.
Just really about their business, just really taking this stuff serious. And that's where my respect comes in, that is just how serious you all are about your craft, just about your gifts that you have. So, definitely loving that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not even gonna ask you to give me like your top 5, but just from the Cincinnati scene, who are your favorite 5 rappers like right now to listen to, or even to work with?
So my list is like constantly growing. Aunt Alec, he comes to mind. Aunt Alec really be freestyling. Like the only time I've ever seen something like close to that is like when Jay was recording the Black album and the Fade to Black documentary, and Lil Wayne. Like he literally just goes off the top of his head. So Aunt Alec, he and I, we have a couple records that aren't released yet, but Aunt Alec's definitely one. Waco Swami. Waco Swami, he makes what I call mood music. A lot of rappers are very braggadocious, and they're very, they're really good at, talking that talk. But on his album Vibrators, or Vibration, I gotta say, I listened to it and I was kind of complaining about certain things in my life that in retrospective are pretty small. And I told him, I'm like, yeah, man, after hearing you say some things that you did on that album, I kind of felt like a piece of trash because I got it. Like I got it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, Brent's, that dude is a tactician. I mean, outside of, like he and I's one-off, like seeing him work in real time, because I produced Lady Luck Part 4 for him.
Yeah, man, that was fire.
For Loch Ness. Yeah, like, and I just wanted to keep it simple, because you give them 3 dudes, an inch, and they take the entire football field. Just going.
Man.
But like seeing him work in real time, that, that's a particular specimen right there that needs to be studied. It does.
Yeah.
So I said Ant, I said Waco, I said Prince. I gotta throw Banks in there. Banks, outside of like my working relationship with him, I got a lot of respect for him. He handles his newfound popularity with a lot of grace. Yeah. And he's remained who he is. Yeah. And then last but not least, is the final feature on my project. She came in and she obliterated the track I played for her, Siri Imani.
Okay.
Siri.
I've been waiting to get her on, man.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to get her on the mic drop, man.
That's a very busy woman right there.
Yes.
It's a very busy woman. Just hearing her, she came in, fully, business. I said, all right, well, I'm ready when you are. She's like, start the track, and tore it to shreds. And, I listened to Big Fish, and I'm like, okay, this is like standardizing, like this is like a mark to aim for. And I know we have 5, but one person I really like to work with in the future is Kyrie. I heard World's a Stage. Yeah. We all got roles to play. Yeah. But yeah, like that's another, guy, like when Like when I hear his music, I'm like, yeah, this man's focused.
Yeah, yeah.
So I could go on about my
yeah.
my contemporaries. I really could.
Yeah.
Just I've been blessed to meet a lot of like-minded people, and then it's really something to see. It really is.
Man, yeah, definitely. Kyrie and Siri are two just artists that I want to get up here and talk to. Me and Kyrie definitely already done, spoke about season 3, getting him up here because just from what I've seen, just from his artistry, man, is crazy, man. I, went and tapped in and just checked out a lot of his music, just super dope. So,
yeah.
You talk about being a lyricist, a writer, like you said, your mom was an author in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about just always keeping up with the competition, whether they friends or not.
Mm-hmm.
How many songs would you say that you write on an average, like day-to-day basis?
Well, it's 2 different types of writing I do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's free verse, where I'm just getting as many of my thoughts down on paper as much as I can, just to stay sharp. And then there's something like, this is something that's happened to me fairly recently. I've kind of gotten in a bit of a comfort zone as far as like producing tracks now. It's gotten to the point where it's more difficult to write songs than it is to make beats. Because I guess it's just the way my brain is wired, or has become wired now. Finding the melody and building around it, that's become very easy. So I can get through on a good day where I'm not doing anything, about 2 or 3.
Okay.
You start with the chorus, and then you build your way around that. Like, how many different ways can I convey this one message that I'm either saying 4 times or saying twice? And then it's pretty easy. You can pick the cadences and you can pick the the flow patterns, but it's the subject matter first. On a regular basis, sometimes it's 1 page, sometimes it's 8. So it depends on like what it is I'm doing. Because the work I do is pretty stressful. I'm not even gonna lie, but it pays the bills. Some people don't have jobs, so I gotta stay grateful for that. But yeah, like it varies. It really does.
Well, you spoke earlier about how when you would produce things, people could tell like, oh, this is Jolt. And to be honest with you, I felt that way early on when I heard a lot of Dr. Dre's produced work. Like, it was like, man, you could tell like he just had like this certain style to where I'm like, man, that sound like a Dre beat, man. That sound like something Dr. Dre would do. And like, especially when you would hear Snoop early on, and when you would hear the Chronic, and just a lot of the artists like on Death Row that he produced, you could just tell like, man, that got Dr. Dre written all over it.
And it's like it's certain, I call them tangible intangibles. It could be the certain kicks that he uses. It could be the way that the snare hits. Like snare hits rather, but it, like also just simple things down to like the mixing as well. Like one example that I like use is like, okay, West Side Story on the Game's documentary. That's a Dre track if I've ever heard it. Because Dre is like, when you hear like Dre's music, it's like less is more. It's the way the tempo hits, the way those snares sound. But at the same token, he'll turn around on Jay-Z's Kingdom Come and make Lost Ones. And it's a different melody that's a little bit more precise or a little bit more complicated as far as the piano chorus is concerned. But it's the same forward tempo, and it's the way those snares hit. So it's like, what can become difficult is, do you want to keep doing what people know you for and what people obviously love you for? Or do you interrupt that, and kind of make something that's a bit of an outlier, something that stands out? And that's not an easy answer. It isn't, because, I'm still growing as an artist as well. Like, I don't have all this figured out yet. I'm just working every day towards it. But one of my best friends, his name's Matt Rivera, he listened to this project I released a couple years ago called From Out of Nowhere. And this was when I just got into the city. And his critique was valid, and he was sincere about it. He says lyrically, oh, this is some of the best stuff I've ever heard you write. But I could tell this is a Jolt track because you use a lot of the same instruments. And my friend Jay Hill, he had explained, he's like, maybe you should try using different plugins. Like you could still, use the melodies and use the same instruments that you use, but take the melody that you just did with the Steinway or the strings, and then maybe try using a different plugin or a different instrument that you haven't used. And so, all of that comes into play a little bit, simply because the last thing I want to do is become stagnant. In what it is that I'm doing. And I don't really like relying on loops too much, because I get a certain amount of satisfaction from getting in front of the keyboard and making something from scratch rather than just chopping up loops. Not that there's anything wrong with using loops, but I like the satisfaction of being in control of everything that the listener hears.
So, from a production standpoint, Hit Boy and Kanye really inspire you. Talk about that.
So, Hit Boy, he has a very modern, it's a modernized sound, but it sounds familiar at the same time. And this is how you get 3 King's Diseases and 3 Magics in 6 years. And I love to see Nas doing that, because the biggest critique that they have of Nas is that, the lyrics are fire, but that beat, And so he got with one of the greatest producers in modern era, and he did 6 projects with this one person. So you can't critique the production anymore. And as far as Kanye's concerned, like, Late Registration is the first rap CD I ever bought when I was 10. So, that orchestral element that album has, as well as my Dark, Beautiful, Twisted Fantasy, I love the idea of the music sounding classical and very, I guess the word would be, profound or classical. But I'm saying things in a manner that are like very today. That's very attractive to me, and it makes the music stand out. It's because, in conjunction with Late Registration, my favorite movie of all time is The Dark Knight. So Hans Zimmer, he's he has a lot of those same elements in the fight scenes that take place. So if it chasing that particular type of sound, it makes your music stand out a great deal, because not everybody's doing that. So that's just something that I use. It gives it a full feel, and I like the way that makes I like the way the sound, but more importantly, I like the way it feels. So.
Okay, well, let's really dive into your project. You actually said that you are in the midst of working on 4 projects right now. So, I mean, if you able, dive as deep into your upcoming, project or projects as much as you can.
Well, so everyone who knows, as you can see the belt here, this is promoting Championship Level. Championship Level is part of a 3-part series. It's actually a trilogy. So, storyline wise, I can give you the storyline of what Championship Level is about. So it's about a guy who has a lot of ambition, right? The problem is he's very, I guess I don't want to say gullible, but he's very impressionable, right? So I have a lot of features on this album. A lot of features that I feel bad that I didn't say as far as the top 5 is concerned. One of those features is none other than Devin Burgess. So in the midst of this, story, Devin Burgess is very seasoned in the city, like he really is. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's very well known. And so, one of the particular parts of this record is there's this song called "There Is No Tomorrow." And There Is No Tomorrow. I released that as a single, but it's about, a guy who's trying to get that and a guy who's already had that, right? So my mentality is I have to do more work than the next guy just to get what the next guy has. And so a lot of people always say, slow down. And I'm like, I can't put it off tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody.
Yeah.
So, he comes in and he's explaining, he's like, look, this is how this goes. He's like almost like kind of like speaking to me as like a bit of a coach, and he's like, look, don't ever let somebody try to knock you. His exact line is, he's like, never let somebody try to knock you. This game ain't nothing but a brothel. That's on me. And that's a very powerful statement, because it's like, yeah, any competitive scene can be a little dirty at times, but the flip side of that coin, meaning this game is nothing but a brothel, is like, man, everybody's here for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
And so don't let anybody try to deteriorate you from that or knock you from getting what it is that you're after.
Yeah.
Because there's enough out here for everybody to eat.
Man. I like to tell people that, man. It really is.
So, I got a lot going on in there, but basically the first championship level is about purpose.
Well, that first, that track that you speaking on, I love that concept, and I love when I see artists with that concept, just of someone doing something and someone else kind of coaching them through whatever tough time. Like I remember on a track that was released earlier this year by Brinson Loch Ness, the Duke It Out track. That kind of had like the boxing, and it was just from that standpoint of a fighter coming back to the corner and kind of feeling all of these different emotions, and then he have his coach come through and telling you like, get yourself together. Man. It was just, man, it was so powerful, man. I threw it in the playlist as soon as it hit Apple Music, man. So just that concept of doing that is so motivational. Like, it's going to inspire so many people who may be struggling to get over that hump and maybe trying to get to that next level, trying to get to that next, man, I get so excited, man, when I see artists doing things like that. So that's amazing.
You also don't see, black men raising up other black men.
Correct.
It's always a versus, it's him or me.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. It's the both of you.
Yeah.
It's like, my people, we got to get past this, like, oh, I can only eat at this person's expense. Not the case. That's a scarce mentality. That type of mentality, it does nothing but attract poverty, and we got to get past that.
Yeah,
we got to. So like, you should be able to clap for your brother as he wins. So, there are a lot of other guest features on this particular song. You made a reference earlier today about, like, the one thing artists have to understand, particularly us as men, guys will buy your, guys will listen to your project, but the most successful thing that you can do is make a song that women convey with.
Yeah.
And people don't really understand that. And I had this conversation. I'm like, listen, a guy will buy, like, he'll listen to it, but a girl, she's going to go and buy your album so she can, like, have the physical project in her hand. She's going to buy it off of iTunes because she wants it in her playlist forever. Yeah. She'll go that much further because it resonates with her. Yeah. And so I have a lot of features on this. I would say from, as far as like singers are concerned, my favorite record that I have on here is this record called Let Me In with Tori Halim. So during the process of this album, there's your hero, he goes through a little bit of an uncomfortable transition, the worst thing I think a guy can do is take his eye off the ball or take his foot off the gas and get a little too comfortable. And so I'm addressing how a lot of guys wind up getting hurt on this project simply because the signs were there that this person wasn't right for you, but you chose to ignore them. And so you can't really be mad at anybody but yourself. You know, one of the difficult things about managing relationships is the most difficult relationship is a healthy one after a toxic one. So what I've done is within these 22 songs, I've kind of expressed how it is a man may wind up dealing with his issues, or how he may not deal with them at all, and he winds up carrying it into the next, and then to the next, into the next. And this is how you wind up getting, like, soul ties are very real. Yeah. They are. And so, you have to heal before, you run into people, because everybody got their own thing going on. Yeah. But, I don't think that people's mental health and I don't think people's attitudes towards relationships really get addressed as they can. So this is a perspective of a guy who's ambitious, but he's using his ambition as a crutch to deal with a broken heart. And so you got to heal. So you got to heal your wounds so you don't bleed on people who never cut you. So that's one of the topics that'll get addressed in championship level, but in the other two, because this is just part one of a trilogy that I'm working on. So those are the 3 projects there.
Well, I guarantee you, though, that last line, man, that you just said, man, is going, when people watch this interview, it's going to get rewinded. Like, I mean, literally, you just dropped some straight facts, man, dropped some gems right there. And it's something, like you said, it's something that a woman, and I even go as far as to say a man who is working on himself, because as black men, we always, I feel like we always in a state of healing at a particular part of our lives, because we deal with so many different things. And so, we deal with hurt, with ridicule, with hate, with all of these different things. And it's like, you got to heal from that. If you got kids, if you got a woman, you don't, it's like you in this constant battle to where you don't want to show them too early that this is what dad has to deal with, or this is what and so it's a constant struggle all the time. And so I feel like with what you just described, like, that's gonna have everybody, man, throwing this into their playlist, because it's something that's so relatable that we all are dealing with, no matter what our walk of life is. We all dealing with it.
And this is something that, like, my mom has told me, like, many times, because I can remember when I got my heart broken really bad back in the day. My mom, she said this multiple times. She's like, you deserve a whole person. A person who's able to do what this particular person did, like, they leave you for another person, and then they're doing the same thing, with that person over and over again. Is, you deserve a whole person, but your whole person also deserves a whole person. And it's like, your wife deserves a whole husband. Your children deserve an entire dad. And so, like, to be whole, or at least wholesome, I guess, the time that you're by yourself, get those things done that you got to get done. This is the correct time to work on your music, to, like, get the house, to, like, get these things, because you don't want to be, you can figure things out, but, like, the fundamentals and, like, the core principles of, like, who you are as a man, or, like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you can tolerate, what you cannot stand. You don't want to be figuring that out while you're trying to figure out another person.
Yeah, you got to. That's the foundation. You know, you got to do that first, and because you talk about, like, how, like, when you build a house, you can't start putting furniture in there and you ain't even got the electricity installed, or you don't even have the roofing set up. You got to do all of that, the groundwork and all of that stuff before you can start bringing somebody else in there. So.
And the other thing I've learned is like it takes as long as it takes, and it costs what it costs.
Yeah.
I could be honest. One thing I'm working on is I'm not the most patient person in the world. At least not with myself. Everybody says the same thing about me, and I know it's true. And I know they're not saying it to point the finger at me, but they're making a valid observation. It's like, yeah, man, you're a little too hard on yourself. You know, maybe you tone that down. And my reply is, I'm like, I'm hard on myself, so nobody else has to be, because don't nobody want to take care of a grown man.
But see, the people that know me, they will say when they see this, and they'll say to me, man, he was speaking to you, man, because I always had this thing to where I put immense pressure on myself. You know, I'm my own biggest critic.
Yep.
I'm always critiquing myself harder than anybody else ever could. And they like, man, you know, you did excellent, man. What? And I'm like, but I didn't say this line the way I would have liked to, or even outside of creativity, I didn't handle this situation the way I feel like I'm supposed to. So, you know, man,
we got that in common.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think a lot of us as creatives do, like, just in life and in creativity. It's like sometimes people will say like, man, what's the problem? I didn't hear anything, but your ear is different than mine. Like, when you are creative, you have a completely different sense as far as hearing. You have hearing, and then you got hearing. Like, you know, and you hear the thing because you know how you wrote it. So you want it to sound the way it sounded when it was in your head when you were putting that down on paper. So
and I feel you. You know, very rarely is like your execution gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
A lot of days it's just about getting the work done.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this. There's the way you listen to music before you make music, and then there's the way you listen to it after.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like it's a very difficult thing because it's like it almost kind of spoils you a little bit.
Yeah.
You're listening for things that you didn't know was there before because you've trained your mind. Okay, how did you say that line? Okay, you said it like this. Does it really matter, or does it, you know, like, or like with me, like the mixing. Mixing is something I'm very picky about. You know, I need to hit up Devin Burgess, you know, to link with him, because for the first time I'd like to worry about just being an artist and not having to be an engineer, at least on my own project, just simply because it's like I'm very critical. Yeah. And so, you know, like it kind of ruins, like it widens your understanding of how music works, but at the same time, it kind of ruins it a little bit. Yeah. Because now you're not naive anymore. Yeah.
And you hearing things that the average ear is not. I mean, my producer Bob once told me, he said, even with artists like Nas and Jay-Z, he said, I could tell where they punched in and out at. You know, just something as simple as that. Just because of the way my ear is trained, I can tell when even professional who got these professional engineers and, you know, all these producers that's in here, I can still tell when somebody done punched in and out. And I'm like, man, that's a crazy skill. That's not something that you just, you know, develop just by listening to hundreds of albums. That's something where you got to be in the studio. This. Yeah, you got to be in that.
You're in front of the board. You know what it means to record another person. Which is funny because I'm way more patient with other artists while they're recording than I am with myself. Yeah, yeah. Banks can vouch for this. Yeah. You know, like I'll sit there and like vibe and just enjoy, you know, that time. And we'll do as many takes as we need to. But if I can't kill mine in one take, that's a problem for me. Yeah. And I don't know what that is. Like,
it's the competitive. It got a little bit of competitiveness in that because it's like, man, you know, I should, and it's not even as far as competing with somebody else, but it's competing with yourself. Like, man, I should be able to, you know, knock this out. I should be able to do this, and in the end, it's gonna make you better, man, when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. So it's 3 championship levels. You know, I'm letting everybody know this, and I have this rule. I don't let a year go by without at least one release.
Okay.
So I made this post on, shout out to Mr. Stay On Lit, Soul Compose.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Every time he sees me, he's like, it's Mr. Undeniable. He's known about this project for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've just been kind of working on championship level, it's kind of But The Undeniable it's the sequel to the Relentless.
Mm-hmm.
Relentless, it got a lot of good reviews, but this is just me staying busy, simply because I like having large discography, because your fan base is always growing, and your music is always going to be brand new to people who have never heard you before. So like for the fans that I haven't gotten yet, once they do hear it, I want there to be a bit of a debate as far as like what's his best song or what's his best project, because you'll never, people each have like a top 5. Those 5 are never going to be the same.
Right.
Like somebody might say, "Oh, my favorite song from you is this," and I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
So I want that
It'd be
diversity.
stuff I don't even think of when I'm thinking of favorite song, but you never know what somebody done been through and how you spoke to their situation. You could have just contributed to their healing journey, or you could have, like Eminem has a line where he talks about, my songs can make you cry, take you by surprise at the same time, and make you dry your eyes with the same rhyme. Like I think of that because it's like you can play a song for 5 different people and it can make them cry, it can help them heal, it can make them feel better, it can do so many different things with just one song. Yes, it can do so many different things. So I feel you, man. That's why I feel like all of this is a gift, because this isn't something that just happens by accident.
No. No, it's by God's design, for sure.
So 22 tracks on the first championship level.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I've been asked this question before, man. It's interesting. I've been asked this question so many times, and it's so hard. When it comes to these 22 tracks, what would you say today is your favorite song? Because when I'm asked this question, I say, man, it depends on what day it is, man. It switches. So what would you say is your favorite song right now?
Like on my music, or just
on from this upcoming project, out of the 22 tracks, like what would you say is currently your favorite song, and was anybody a feature on it?
So my favorite, it's actually a tie.
Okay.
It's a song called Need to Hear, and it's another record called Don't Worry.
Okay.
Need to Hear is me basically imitating my dad.
Okay.
Don't Worry is me imitating my mother.
Okay.
Alright? So a lot of people make songs for their parents. One of the things I never liked is like the genuine message in hip hop is like, like you just mentioned Eminem, right? Eminem has a song called Leaving Heaven. And he's explaining that he, like when he dies, he's going to ask God to leave heaven briefly to go to the depths of hell to fight his father. Because his dad wasn't there. Then on the Jay-Z Dynasty album, right? This was with Jay-Z and Memphis Bleek. Well, not Memphis Bleek, Beanie Siegel.
Okay.
Right? I think the record is Where Have You Been? Because these are 2 men who had to live their lives without their dad in their lives. So it's like, man, that's 2 of the biggest rappers in the world that did not have the blessing of being able to call dad and say, hey, how are you? Didn't get those car rides home from school, didn't get to play football, didn't get to go to wrestling shows, didn't get to go to B-dubs and eat wings while watching the football game with your dad. So because I have that luxury, right, I wanted to make a record of this is how a father speaks to their son. Not just, hey dad, I love you, I wrote this song about you. I'm actually speaking as him. And so the chorus is, hear my directions, please listen clear, hold my words close, I mean near and dear. It ain't always gold just because glitter has appeared. This ain't what you want, but you need to hear. And it's a part of the plot.
Yeah.
It's a part of the plot, because this is about a guy who can't seem to keep his focus whenever there's a woman around. You know what I'm saying? So that's a real conversation between he and I.
Yeah. And
then Don't Worry is my mom. That's her favorite thing to say to me. You know, my mom's doing a lot better, you know, now, but a couple years ago, you know, I would get worried because my mom, you know, she was fighting something. You know, when your mother isn't doing well, that eats at you.
Yes.
You're already dealing with the fact that you're not a child anymore.
Yeah. That
you're a man. You have children of your own.
Yeah.
So like you're further along in the cycle than I am.
Yeah.
But like every man who's older and who's left home, when you see your mom, it's not the same as when she picked you up from school or when she dropped you off from school.
Yeah.
Like you can see, like this is life.
Yeah.
This is life happening. And so my mom, she knows I'm an overthinker. I'm guilty of it. She'll tell me some things that aren't easy to hear, and she'll follow it with, but I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to do that. Yeah. Because God has already got this worked out. And you know what? We're just going to take this day by day. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And I'm like, all right. You know, I'm going to think about this, even though you just told me what you did. She's like, don't worry. Don't do that. And so, because that's what she always says to me, I wanted to make, you know, a same song, you know, imitating all the things that she says to me. So those are my two, like, of course, you know, those are very sentimental songs. Yeah. I got a lot of bangers on this record. You know, Devin Burgess is on here. Wave Parker is on here. Cleo Court is on here. Tori Helene is on here. Waco Swami is on here. Like it's you know, Auntie JoJo and Siri Amani are on here. You know, it's a lot of records. Yeah. But as far as like music that like tugs at the heart, you know, I wanted to give them that tribute. You know, always hand your loved ones the roses while they're here. Yeah. So, and just like you said, you know, I played those songs for my dad. I played Need to Hear from my dad, and he started laughing like, well, I'm glad to know that you were listening. That's good, because I'm saying everything the exact way that he would. Yeah. And then I have his voicemail on there because the intro of the album is called Dear Lord. And so I'm praying to God, and the way that I have it sequenced, the transition sounds like God's about to give his reply. But as you listen on and you hear the voicemail, it's like, oh wait, that's his dad. So you went from praying to your heavenly father to have a conversation with your earthly father. So I played Need to Hear for him, and I played Don't Worry for my mom. And I said, if my mom doesn't cry when she hears this, I didn't do the song correctly. And she did. She, of course, that is just so sweet of you. And I'm like, yes. Yes, sir. Got it. That's when you know you got it. That's when I got the emotion I was looking for. So it's a tie between those two. Okay. The song everyone knows me for is You Did That. That's the record that I'm not allowed to leave the stage until I perform that, because somebody will ask me to perform that record. Yeah. So that's track 22. That's the very last song. So I gotta get some visuals for that one.
So when is this project dropping? That's what everybody want to know.
I wanted to have this project out by this year, but I cannot keep releasing music with no marketing plan. So I want to say, and don't hold me to it, late January, early February. Okay. Just because this needs a proper rollout. You know, everything that you've heard over the last few years. You know, I've been releasing music, but I've been working on championship level, the concept of it and the execution of it, for 4 years. This literally has beats that I was making back when I didn't even live in Cincinnati, when I was still living in Hamilton at home. Like, like downstairs in my mother's house and my stepfather. So, this is a 4-year-old project.
So can we expect to see just some growth, just some maturing, just from a production standpoint, from an artistry standpoint?
Yes, from an artistry standpoint and from a conceptual standpoint. Because a lot of my music has been me just rapping about rapping. And that's fun to do. But the biggest thing with Championship Level 1 is I wanted there to be, like, okay, every artist has that one body of work, which is pretty much their life explained. And I wanted to have that. Jay Hill, he asked me, he's like, are you ready for that? I said, dude, it's late. It's been overdue. And it's like, I'm not saying anything bad would happen, but you just never know, man. Life is short. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want people looking for this on my hard drive. This needs to be released to the public. Yeah. Yeah. Because I put a lot of time into this.
Yes. So. I think we all have that one project that's that way, to where it's like, man, I want to get this out before anything happens to me, because these words are going to live on beyond me. And when people go back and ask that question, man, who was B. Anderson, man, who was the Jolt, they will have that particular project.
Definitively, that's the answer.
Yeah. For me, I can say that about an album that I've put out, but more so for me, it's more about my second book that I put out. Vision Oversight of Legally Blind Poets Truth. That one right there was like, I wanted to get this out. I don't care what else I do outside. I need that one out, just so that way when I'm gone, that book will be the one thing that somebody say, you know what, let me learn a little bit more about him. And they go and open that book and they check it out, and it's like, so when you say that, that's what puts me in the mind of that book for me. So
absolutely,
it's an excellent thing, man. So y'all make sure y'all be on the lookout for that project, and so that they can tap in with you and know where you are. Let them know where you at on social media.
So my Instagram, I_am_Jolt. From my Twitter, same thing, I_am_Jolt. And then Facebook, you can't have the as your first name. It's like it's rough. So on Facebook, I'm the Jolt with the exclamation point at the end, but my regular Facebook is my name, Jordan Stripling. So yeah. I'm also on TikTok as well, so I_am_the Jolt. I do these series called Jolt's Just Saying. Okay. Because apparently people say that I should be voice acting a little bit. Okay. And so, but most of the time, it's just my commentary on life. Okay. And just like I'm a bit of a comedic, like I have a lot of comedic relief. And so like with my job, like I'm an online banker, so it's. You deal with a lot of people sometimes. Yeah. And so, like sometimes it's just my response, Yeah. But
so where is that on your Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so y'all make sure that y'all tap in. Y'all make sure that y'all following this brother. You're very positive, and have a very positive outlook on what it is that you're doing. And I mean, just from doing this interview, I'm like, man, I'm connected with you on most of those, but I'm like, man, it make me want to tap in more closely. And, one question that is not, even creative related, but a conversation that you and I have had, especially on Facebook, more than one occasion. Tell the people, man, who are your and I know this hard, man. It's hard for me to give a legit answer. But who are your 5 all-time favorite wrestlers? Gotta know.
All right. So I have to start with The Rock.
Okay.
From a charismatic standpoint, that man has it all.
Man.
And you can tell that he was that guy because like of what his success is outside of it.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna mention The Rock, in the very next breath, the next name has to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
All-time favorite.
You know, my only regret with Steve is like he was at the very top for 3 years.
Ooh.
If he had never broke his neck,
man,
I want to know what that run, would have been.
It would have been hard to see it stopping.
Right.
I mean, because he was. And really, he was at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Really in 1998, but it's like from when 97. His feud with Bret Hart, man, it's like that is what propelled him to, facing Shawn at WrestleMania
14.
and yeah.
Like that scene of him in the sharpshooter with the blood on his face is like
that was the double turn.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like they don't tell stories like that anymore.
Yes.
The closest we've gotten to it is this bloodline story that they got going right now.
Today.
Right?
Yeah, we don't get it like because it's like, it started with Austin and Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned into Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And then it went over to DX. Then with Mr. McMahon. And then from Mr. McMahon, it's like then you get the side stuff with The Undertaker, with Kane, with The Rock,
Love.
With Dude Love. Well, all three phases of well, not really Cactus Jack, but Mankind
3 phases
and
of Foley.
Yeah. But you get you don't really get Cactus Jack with Steve, but you get Mankind and Dude Love.
Yeah.
And then like I said, you get The Rock and
I will say this: The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, from an in-ring standpoint, that's my favorite feud of all time.
Okay.
Because it's like that's definitively the feud, in my opinion, that won Vince the Monday Night War.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're the top two guys, not just in WWE, but like in the business.
Yeah.
At that point, nobody's bigger than those two guys.
Polarizing figures.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said Rock.
The Rock, Stone Cold.
Said Stone Cold. The phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
Okay. I love, especially in TNA, man.
Yes. The first time I ever saw AJ Styles was he was having this match with Christopher Daniels.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then I think it was an Iron Man match. And then my favorite match is like him versus Joe versus Daniels again.
Yeah.
And that's when I got like hooked. I'm like,
Yeah.
who is this dude?
Yeah.
And he's holding his belt with this red X.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the X division. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been a fan of AJ Styles ever since his run with TNA. I still got his best matches from like TNA, Ring of Honor. I followed AJ Styles like from like where he was then to where he is now.
Yeah. Well, with AJ, I liked AJ ever since. I mean, he was one of the first wrestlers I ever seen when I turned on TNA. But what really took me over the top, I started buying his merchandise when he took the lone wolf approach and he was doing the only one.
Yep.
Man, that's when, and he was coming out with the 2 different theme songs and everything. That's
Evil
when
Ways.
and he was battling Magnus for the title. That's when or Nick Aldis.
They had to have the whole roster come out to beat this one guy. So he must be that dude. If you had to have all these other cats just to get the belt off of him.
So that whole run with the whole Dixie Carter story, man, that was tight. So okay.
I said Rock, Stone Cold, AJ Styles. Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Kurt
And that go without question, man. I mean,
Kurt Angle is, Dave Meltzer has not given this man a 5-star match, which is insanity. He's got so many against a wide range of people.
Yeah.
I know people don't like mentioning him because of how his life ended. You have to put his match against Chris Benoit. You cannot say, I'm a wrestling fan, and I haven't watched that match.
Yeah.
Like, particularly the one at Royal Rumble.
Style.
Yeah.
Man.
You have to mention his match with The Undertaker and No Way Out 2006. That's how that WrestleMania. That should have been the main event at WrestleMania. But you know, and then his match with Shawn Michaels. That's another 5-star right there. So like Kurt Angle, especially like his story outside of the ring, he's gone through a lot.
Yeah,
like he really has.
I mean, just with his wife.
Yes,
with the Jeff. Yeah,
so like that. Not just that, but I mean like his personal life. Like one thing I learned recently, I was watching a documentary of his match with Brock Lesnar for the Iron Man match. That happened like right after he lost his sister. And for watching that match, they had the best match.
That's my favorite all-time Kurt Angle match. Is Kurt and Brock. That was, I mean, because they weren't doing a lot of the sports entertainment stuff. I mean, they were actually wrestling.
Like this is about who the better wrestler is. You got the NCAA heavyweight champion versus the Olympic gold medalist.
Yes, that's my favorite Kurt Angle match. And I mean, really Brock Lesnar match, because now you get a lot of Brock squash matches. So it's like with Kurt, it was a whole different thing. And it was like one of them things to where when they said like Roman versus Brock, I'm like, man, I'm turning this off. But if it was Kurt versus Brock, man, I was tuned in. So, okay, so Rock, Austin, AJ, Kurt. Your last one.
It's tough because I already know like the names I'm not gonna get to say.
I always say it's real difficult.
It is. The fifth and final person of Joel's top 5 DOA.
Okay.
Give me Eddie Guerrero.
Good one. Especially late. When he came up with the line cheating and stealing gimmick.
Like Eddie, I had like a friend of mine. We have these debates all the time. Like, okay, in the prime, triple threat match, who wins? Is it lie, cheating, steal Eddie Guerrero, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and American Badass Undertaker? Who wins? I'm like, Eddie wins.
I have to say Eddie wins because he gonna find a way to he gonna have like a knife stick in his boot, or he gonna hit somebody with a chair and throw it to the other wrestler.
I can choreograph this entire match. Yeah, bro, the way this match goes. You know how Roman's gonna be in the corner, for the spear. Yeah, he's gonna throw the referee in the way of the spear, and then he's gonna hit him in the head with the championship belt. And then Taker's gonna go for the last ride. Yeah, and then he's gonna pull the nightstick out of his boot. Bah! Yeah. Yeah. And then he's gonna hook his leg. Yeah, and it's gonna look like a reverse hurricanrana. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and Taker's gonna be like, "What just happened?" And he's the smarter, but like Eddie, the way Eddie Guerrero wrestled, he was always very critical of like what many consider his greatest match ever is the Halloween Havoc 1997 with him and Ray.
WCW, okay.
That was the match of the year for WCW, right? He's critical of that, and Ray is like, Eddie, we just got match of the year. Like, what are you talking about? And the whole time, Eddie's like, I could have did this better. I could have sold this better. And I'm like, I'm guilty of that. Yeah, I am, because it's like he wants to. He has a chip on his shoulder, and he should. He's part of the legendary Guerrero family. Yeah, right. So you're a generational talent. That means the bar is going to be higher for you. And then also, you're a cruiserweight in the land of the giants. Yeah, yeah. They call WCW where the big boys play. Right? This is where Hulk Hogan is, Kevin Nash is, Same. Goldberg is here. Now, these are big, large dudes. And you and Ray are going to go out here for 20 minutes and have the match of the night. Yeah. He's very hard on himself. Yeah. But just for the simple fact that man could literally make you go through any emotion with just a simple look on his face.
Yes.
You can cheer for him to beat the odds against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
1 minute, and then totally despise him going against Rey Mysterio the very next. And most people don't got it like that. They just don't.
It's only a select few. And with Eddie, I mean, after he passed, just what I heard, I heard Batista say, like, man, he, when I was going through some tough times in my life, like, he was reading the Bible to me and, just telling me, like, man, you would be able to get through it, trust in God. And that's when, I mean, I hated that he had passed, when we heard the story. But it's like, man, it made me an even bigger fan of Eddie than I already was. Like, I'm like, wow.
It was real locker room leader.
Yes.
And, like, SmackDown was hard to watch because it's like, for the first, that was the year I went to my first wrestling show.
Yeah.
And halfway through the show, he's gone, but you just still expect to hear Viva la Raza.
Yeah.
And then you expect to see the lowrider. And that, as a kid, like at 10 years old, understanding that that's been taken from me, I couldn't watch SmackDown for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a huge void. Yeah. And it's like, there is a void in WWE like nobody's business.
Yeah, that was a tough one, man.
And the people say who the locker room leader is. You know who the locker room leader was when you see other grown men on the screen in tears. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw Big Show in tears. I see Triple H in tears.
And Triple H was one of the worst people, as far as on screen.
One of the biggest heels in the company. In tears because this man is gone.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chris Benoit. Because that was
hard for me too, though. I mean, despite what he did and how that went, I mean, just the persona which you fell in love with on screen was very difficult when he was gone. It's like, man.
Because Benoit has so much respect from the audience.
Yeah.
Like, one of the biggest moments ever is like Royal Rumble 2003. He was real close to beating Angle, but Angle got that ankle lock in there. He cinched it in and it's in the middle of the ring, and you have to tap.
Yeah.
They cut the camera, and then they go back to the ring, and he's gotten to his feet, and he's standing in the middle of the ring. The crowd is cheering him like he just beat Angle.
Yeah.
And,
that's why I couldn't believe it when they actually said what he did. It was, I just remember somebody telling me, and I'm like, quit playing. Like, why would you tell a stupid joke like that?
When I first found out about it, I had to be 12, and I just jumped to the conclusion, like, somebody must have killed all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you find out he has the brain of someone twice his age.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I do remember Paul Heyman saying something in an interview. He says, I don't care about CTE because at the end of the day, 3 people died, but only one of them had a choice. The other 2 did not. Truer words have never been said because it's like, no matter what your mental condition is, that child did not need to die, sir. It didn't need to be that way. So, of course, I can respect his artistry in the ring because that's not the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's just, that's one particular act that you can't commit something like that. There's no bounce back from that.
Right.
It just isn't. Yeah. But I don't think it should be held against his son because his son is an aspiring wrestler as well. And, you see he looks just like his father. But, I could go on about wrestling all day.
As I said, we could go on, but
Absolutely.
Man, I definitely, enjoyed having you here, man, and I just knew, just based off of the conversations, man, that we've had on Facebook, just that it was gonna be a dope interview. Before we get up out of here, one thing that I do for season 2 is I flip the script and I let my guest ask me one question, and it could be any question, either artist, creative based, or outside of that. But yeah, you can ask me one question.
Okay, I gotta know. I already gave my top. Who's your top 5? And we don't even have top 5 wrestlers, top 5 artists.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll go with the wrestlers first. So I'll go Stone Cold.
Yep.
The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair. And it's so hard, man, because it's always a battle between hold on. So I got Stone Cold, The Rock, mm-hmm. The Undertaker, Ric Flair, and that 5th one is always so difficult for me, because it changes over time. But I'm gonna say,
I know you're not gonna say CM Punk.
No, I don't like him. But I just go with my guy right now because he is the most relevant figure in the WWE, and I would go Roman Reigns. Because I did not like him as the big dog. I wasn't a fan of him when he was a babyface. I became a fan of him when he became the head of the table, and I've been a fan ever since. So.
He went through the same transition as The Rock did.
Yeah. Yes.
This is why, because Big Dog Roman, he's good, but that's the same thing as Rocky Maivia.
Yeah.
You're forcing this baby face down our throats.
Yes.
You got to let him be him.
Yeah. And then he was beloved later on.
Yes.
So, artist. Mm-hmm. I will go number 1. The Notorious B.I.G. will always be number 1 for me. Nas, Big L. Yeah, I love Big L.
Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous.
Yes. So I'll go Big L. Then I will go. It get tough because one artist, and he more in the new school, but I'll go Dave East. Mm-hmm. Dave East is one of my favorites. And number 5 is forever changing. And depending on who knows me, they'll say a different 5th person. Mm-hmm. But I will go as of today on who I like. I will go Common. I love Common, man. I love chocolate. Yeah, I love just the creativity from him, man. He brings a completely different dynamic, and I mean, just from the very first album to what he's done recently, I love that he has healing in a lot of his music, and I love just the storytelling. Like, I mean, honestly, I Used to Love Her was a great storytelling and a great analogy of hip hop. Yeah. But I'm gonna say one of my favorite songs by him, and even from a video standpoint, because this started making me raise some eyebrows when Empire came out. But I will say the song Testify.
Yes.
Yeah, Testify is one of my favorite. Yes. Yep. And then to come to find out that the woman did everything, and man, that was crazy, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's literally one of my favorite songs, like just from a storytelling standpoint. I mean, because when you talk about storytelling, you think of Ice Cube, you think of Biggie, you think of Pac, like you think of all of these great storytellers. But I'm telling you, man, Common is an amazing storyteller.
That's from the B album. I got that on disc.
Yeah. So, like I said, everybody make sure that you tap in with the Jolt. He is doing some amazing things, man. Got this huge project coming out next year, and I mean, man, you a champion in life, man.
Thank you, Mom.
You're definitely
Likewise.
A champion in life. I appreciate that. We have 2 interviews left after this episode airs. So, you make sure that y'all following Author B. Anderson everywhere. Author B. Anderson on YouTube is where you'll catch this interview along with the rest of season 2. Man, it's been a pleasure having you on here, man.
Likewise, man.
Sir.
Thank you.
This has been the Mic Drop with B. Anderson, and we are out.
Tap in with me.